Hello there. Coming up in the Saturday Night Showdown, Tory MPs are standing down left, right and centre. Well, left and centre anyway. I don't think he had Tories on the right anymore. If only they'd been more right, they might have stood a chance. And an Australian child was given a Hamas-themed birthday cake, presumably served with some chalk ISIS. Chalk ISIS, everyone. Thank you very much. You're looking at me like that was Shiite. Anyway, we ask, should the bakery have made a terror cake? And the BBC have admitted that they're making bad comedy. Well, don't worry. On this show, we do too. This is your Saturday Night Showdown. Discussing all tonight's topics with me are my brilliant panel tonight are Kezia Noble, Andrew Eborn and Jonathan Colgan. But first, let's get your latest news headlines from... Ray Addison, sorry. Thank you, Ray. I know Ray the best. He used to run comedy in Dubai. Anyway, welcome to the Saturday Night Showdown. Rishi Sunak announced the election this week and his first day of campaigning was a disaster. His audience of warehouse workers in Derbyshire was discovered to contain Tory councillors filling up the numbers. And he was mocked after he asked everyone whether they were looking forward to all the football while he was in Barry in South Wales. Barry's a place, not a person. Wales did not qualify for the Euros, so it was the wrong question to ask. And lots of Tory politicians are standing down, and some Tory MPs are flipping to the Labour Party, such as Natalie Elphicke. Now, I respect politicians that stick to their principles, especially when those principles are, I want to have a job after July the 4th. Now, Rishi Sunak has warned that Labour will make Britain a magnet for every illegal migrant in Europe if they win the next election. So there's much bigger numbers coming in.
But if I could have a choice and say you can have the illegal, boat crossings, but stop the mass legal immigration, I would pick to stop the illegal migration, because it's now this year 670,000. That's a city. That's a.
So you'd rather have the illegal migrants coming across.
10,000. I wouldn't want either.
Right. Yeah.
But I find it's a distraction.
But I mean, Andrew, the way I see it, illegal immigrants versus legal migrants. Legal migrants are the sort of people who can, fill in a form, stand in a queue. That's quite a British.
It's a very British way. I think that should be the test. Actually, sort of standard this.
Can you return a supermarket?
You're absolutely right, but it's crazy because the figures, well, it's over 1 million for, but we need migrants is the whole idea about sort of for cares and so on and so forth. So a certain amount of legal migration that we need. The most sort of distraction, the real focus needs to be on the abhorrent trade in people trafficking and the criminal gangs, and that's the right thing to look at. A very interesting timing, and I did predict July the 4th. I was one of the few that did. I also predicted the very obvious headlines like things could only get wetter, or they couldn't actually. Extraordinary. Look, Drowning Out was another favourite one as well. But what's really interesting, because he lost his bet with Piers Morgan. Because he said, Piers bet him the grandson of a grand and said, you're not going to get one single person to Rwanda before the election. And now that's going to happen. And I reckon the reason for the timing, what Rishi's done, is it's fear. And it's Edward Bernays, the father of PR, he said the best way of selling anything is through fear. And he said, look, we've got the Rwanda scheme in place. We're going to get people off. They're all ready, as long as you vote me in. If you don't, Keir Starmer's not going to let anybody go to Rwanda.
But the Tories have had 14 years. I mean, that's not going to be...
It's not enough.
Nobody's going to be like,
14 years and another 4.
If they just have another 2 months, then they'll get it working.
It should be interesting. But that's the way he's selling it. And it's split between the two parties. You're turning around and saying, stick with us, we're on course. It was predictable because, and I said this was going to happen, as soon as you get good news on inflation, it went down from 11% when he made the promise originally, right the way down to 2.3% on the day he announced it. There was no surprise. It was going to be as good as it was going to get. Things are getting better and a lot wetter. Let's work on that sort of principle. But why he couldn't afford an umbrella, poof.
Yeah. Well, that's good. The taxpayer is saving money by not...
I'm super impressed. He knows loads of stuff.
I do.
I don't really know anything. I get by. I don't even get by on charisma. I just sort of get by. But what?
Change.
Oh, Rishi, he's just a giga Chad, and we just need him to just finally just commit and do what he says. But it's not going to happen.
And also, he's not really, like Hezzy, it doesn't really resonate with the voters because he's insanely rich. He made, apparently, £100 million last year.
Poor guy.
Not from his... There he is. There he is, standing in the rain. Wow, he really is wet. I mean, even for a Tory politician in 2024, he's wet.
That looks like the end of a sitcom.
I do not put this down to stupidity. There's something else behind this. No one is that stupid. Nobody. This is not... No, he's an educated man. This is something... I feel like there's something going on here.
He's going for the sympathy vote.
Who could have foreseen rain in Britain?
But you can now spend...
The optics are terrible. The optics are terrible. And, and he knew it was going to be terrible.
But you can spend 100 grand and you can stop the rain for a certain period. That's what they should look at. And actually, you can look out the window and work
They can control the weather.
But you can. Did you not know that?
Why are they not on the platform
you can
control the weather?
You can pay 100 grand to some wedding. I'll get in touch. I'll do that. For 100 grand, and they can make sure you have a sunny day. What I loved about the rain, it was so obvious for all the memes that came about. And there's one I don't know, you say, come here, little boy. I'll get you home to in the dry, which is wonderful. So it's a big Keir Starmer and a tiny little Rishi Sunak, and it's all that sort of stuff. It was so ridiculous that they could have waited a little bit.
Well, Leo,
or spend a bit of money and get them inside.
Well, he's got money as well. I mean, he's made £100 million last year, so he's obviously very good with his own money. I just wish he'd be a bit better with my money. Also, I don't feel that we're going to notice any difference if Keir Starmer gets in. In fact, I think...
Labour and Tory are the same thing, apart from it's like Labour are just like flying the rainbow flag, but it's the exact same principles. It's the same policies. It's mass immigration, high tax. It's all the same.
Well, it was George Galloway. George Galloway made the brilliant statement.
Right.
They're two cheeks of the same butt. I'll use that word.
It's time of night. Like that
but that's what he said. They're two cheeks of the same butt, and that's what he said. Nowadays, political parties are indistinguishable from each other, and that's the problem. They nick each other's policies. They nick each other's people from the party. They can cross the house easily.
They're not all indistinguishable. I mean, Reform are a lot like, the Tories used to be, or the Tories say.
Richard Tice.
And the Greens, they're doing their thing at the moment.
Yeah, they're got a nice sort of confluence of Islamism and also doing recycling.
With rainbow flags again. I mean...
It's weird. The Greens seem to be a sort of a carapace, a shell that anybody can climb inside and take any ideas they want. So it used to just be about the environment and low emissions.
People can hate the West for different reasons.
Now it's gender ideology, so pushing the transgender issue, and also fundamentalist Islam, which is weird things to cram inside the same party.
It's bizarre, and I always say if you want to draw a crowd, start a fight. That's the sort of basic sort of principle. So you're going to watch all of these
every Saturday night.
I'm trying for the click. I've got royalties on it. It's going to be good. But it's really interesting that Rishi didn't deviate. So either people are going to view him as a stoic. He was there in the rain. I'll be very British. I'm going to carry on anyway. He could have made a gag about the weather, couldn't he? He could have done something just to acknowledge he was just there looking good.
He looks so sad. I think he was going for the sympathy vote.
I think you're right.
It can literally only get better from that point.
Well, it can only get wetter. But there have been a lot of gaffes in British election history. I think we've got some of the gaffes coming up now. Can we show any of the gaffes?
This is one of them.
Maybe not. Oh, here we go.
There we go.
Straight left cross into the jaw.
Again.
Is that Rishi?
That's amazing. That's after Andrew told him, if you want to draw a crowd, start.
Bang.
Well, they changed his name and they called him after, instead of two jags, it was two jabs, wasn't it? I remember this clue.
And John Prescott used to...
Boris.
Goodness
There's me. Boris on a zip wire. I think he gets stuck on this.
He does.
Two flags.
This is our leaders. I mean, but
Boris is very clever. He deliberately did that to state he knew it would get column inches. He's a master media manipulator.
He's the master of looking like he's not a master. And this is Ed Miliband's tombstone.
Oh yes, there we go.
Do I look a bit like him?
Yes.
Oh God, damn it.
He's got good hair.
He's slightly less confident than you.
Don't close up on me.
So political campaigning is always gaffes. That's why when I ran for election, I didn't do any campaigning because then I couldn't make a gaffe.
You didn't even do any flyers.
You ran for election?
In Scotland.
How did you do? How many votes did you get?
We're not sure.
But the number doesn't matter so much.
I can't remember off the top of my head.
Still trying to
Let's just say I didn't win. But it was the taking part.
Oh, no, you've got to take part. It's not about winning. I think all the politicians believe that now. So you're right. It's a good philosophy.
Can I get my bribe back then?
Is that what you did? Did you bribe people? Oh, brilliant.
This is extremely defamatory. But I think what could happen if Labour get in, they could actually get the Rwanda plan to work because all the civil servants, all the woke bloc, all the lawyers, the charities, they're all fighting against the Tory party. They don't want to do anything that the Tory party want to do.
Yes.
Whereas they're in the same bed as Keir Starmer. So if Keir asks them to do it, he'll probably.
But he's made it very clear he's not going to. I know he said he's going to abolish the Rwanda thing. So that sort of works on that sort of basis. Piers should get his £1,000 because he bet basically nobody was going to go there before the election. Pay up, Rishi. Sort that out. He's going to go to the Red Cross, which is a good cause. The reality, however, is this: they've got to have an alternative plan. And unless you can peddle that, the trouble I've got at the moment is that the real winner in these elections is apathy.
Yeah.
The turnout was pathetic in the thing. What, 32%? Some places, 22% in local elections. You need to incentivise people.
They're both the same now.
They are.
Well, yeah, people say the Tories don't lose elections. They don't lose voters. It's just the voters don't turn out for them. So
that's true. So they're hoping for... The reason July the 4th, apart from Fireworks Day, is obviously they're hoping it's a sunny day because people then come out with their picnics and everything else and they come and vote. It'd be very nice.
Oh, so if it's nice weather, people come out and vote. So if it's not raining...
I thought Conservatives generally like it when it rains because it means that left-leaning people vote less. Not even as a joke, I've heard that. Is that true?
It's true. That's right.
Yeah.
But they can organise buses as well.
It's Glastonbury on.
Well, that happened before, didn't it? And also, I think, left-wing people, their clothes are a lot more absorbent. All that hemp. Anyway, next on the Saturday Night Showdown, there's a new $4,000 therapy that people just can't get enough of. Plus, I'll show you what happened when this paramedic tried to get a patient onto a stretcher. Welcome back to the Saturday Night Showdown. Kirsten Bless is coming up, but first, take a look at this. Now, what do you think happens next, Jonathan?
So there was a gay man on a horse. I couldn't see the whole thing. What was it?
That's not a gay man on a horse. That's a soldier. Although we don't know his sexuality, but it's not part of a pride parade.
Well, I went
one of the soldiers outside Buckingham Palace.
I couldn't probably see it. I went to Tijuana once, and there was this gay gentleman on a horse. It was more of a donkey. What are we talking about?
Okay.
When they said he was feeling a little hoarse, that's not what they meant. It's a sore throat. I thank you. We're
Great joke. He's here all week. Well, he's definitely here every Saturday. Anyway, let's have a look and see what actually did happen. The horse attacked the woman. It's hilarious. Now it's time.
What did she say to it?
It's time to go through.
I think Jonathan's idea was better.
Well, having a gay horse in Tijuana. I mean, yeah,
it was a donkey.
It was a donkey. I mean, who can really tell? Aren't donkeys just tiny horses?
They are. That's what happens. And they pull their ears to make them look cute.
What's a pony?
A pony is like a certain size. So 14.2 is anything above that is a horse. Right. And that's hands. They're all measured in hands.
A pony's still the same animal.
A pony is no, they're related to dogs.
And what's a zebra?
A zebra is an accident. It was a Saturday night between a stripy animal.
No, but really, what is a zebra?
No, it's a freak of nature. What happened is it had to disguise itself in the jungle. So that's what they do. So they have the stripes in the same way.
Why does it look like a horse?
It looks like a horse just because it wants to fit in. It's about inclusion and diversity and everything else.
He's just trying to be funny. What on earth is a zebra?
Same family as a horse. It's like a wolf and a dog and a fox. They're canine. And the horse, what's the Latin word for horse?
Yes.
Someone knows.
Did horses come from zebras?
It is equus.
Yes, equus. They are the same family.
But it is actually true about hiding in the jungle and that sort of stuff. And the same with tigers, about disguise.
Anything stripy is hiding in a
grassland. Well, I'm gonna find out in the break. I'm gonna go on Google. I don't trust any of you. Anyway, it's now time to go through the winners and losers of the week. Now, you might remember a bakery getting in trouble for refusing to bake a gay cake. I'm not actually sure what a gay cake is, but a bakery in Sydney has been lambasted online for baking a Hamas-themed birthday cake for a little boy, featuring the Palestinian flag and picture of the spokesman of Hamas, Abu Ubaida. One savvy Facebook user suggested a Batman-themed cake would have been more appropriate. I mean, do we need to be worried about the indoctrination of the youth in Australia, or is this just a yummy cake? I mean, Kezia, could Hamas be a Marvel superhero? They've got masks, they have guns.
They're not doing a lot of good, though, are they? They're not really saving people.
Well, according to university students and the Green Party, that's debatable.
Oh, they're angels for them, yeah. Freedom fighters.
Yeah.
Look, I think it's bad taste, the cake. Obviously, it's bad taste. And
you haven't tasted it.
Well, it depends. Is it chocolate, strawberry? Did it say?
That just had a big picture of Hamas on the top.
I think it was fig.
A big knife right through it as I cut it. No,
but you
shouldn't.
Cupcakes.
Look at that.
Clearly a Victorian
Yum,
sponge.
yum.
It does, I reckon it is a bit of a sponge, but also it's against the Terrorism Act to support Hamas. They're a proscribed terrorist organisation.
Even on a
Anybody, no, absolutely. Right. Anybody supporting them on this sort of stuff. So it's an offence under the Terrorism Act.
Right. But in Australia, we've also seen people chanting "Gas the Jews," which is, you know, it's insane. The level of
Can I just say, I've never met an Australian that I've respected.
Ever. David Everidge, come on.
Well, moving on, one of Labour's biggest donors has called for the introduction of a red meat tax to help save the planet. Dale Vince, who previously bankrolled Just Stop Oil, I think he still is, and is the owner of all-vegan football club Forest Green Rovers, wants to deter people from buying steaks. Mr Vince told The Sun, "Red meat is the most destructive form of meat that we have available to us in terms of human health and planetary impact." Jeez. I bet he's fun at barbecues. Dale, of course, has a sports car, but it's not important what he does. It's important what little guys like us do. That we give up our small luxuries so he can still have his jet-set lifestyle. I mean, I've got to ask, what about lamb, Jonathan? I mean, lamb.
I think lamb is sort of fine because they're cute and they like to slaughter cute things.
Well, I got to tell you something about animal husbandry. Lamb lives basically a free and wild life, and the land can't be used for arable crops.
Yes.
So it lives on the uplands of Scotland.
Yeah.
It's not intensively reared in concrete bunkers.
And they gamble as well, don't they? So I think the principle about lamb is the thing that people object to is like veal, isn't it? Because that they get with stuff. What I love, however, I go to Japan a lot, and
Kobe.
They really look after their cows because they feed them on beer.
They have a better life than me.
They massage them, one thing, and it's really, really good for the meat. So that when they die with respect and lots of, and they taste delicious. It's fantastic. Matsuzaka beef, which is Kobe as well. Come on, we'll do that. So Dale's right in one sort of sense. You should basically look at this, but you should embrace it. And what was interesting is I think he's made the big mistake. That if you've got to turn around, there are other foods as well. It's not just about that. Chicken farms, for example, there's more pollution on a chicken thing and all the methane and other bits and pieces going up than there is coming from cows.
I see. But my issue with Dale is that, you know, he comes across like he's some sort of lefty saving the planet, but he's a businessman. He's an energy baron. He's got a net worth of over £100 million, and it's from this company, Ecotricity, and then he donates money to the Labour Party, like he gave him, I think, £2.4 million in subsidies, in donations, but then he gets money back in subsidies from the government for his energy, you know, his green energy companies. So really, he's
allegedly.
Just higher tax automatically. I hate.
Yeah.
Automatically, I hate. So this Dell person, I've never heard of him before. He's saying that I have to pay more tax. Done.
Yeah. So, no higher tax.
Bad person.
He's very famous, Dale Vince. He's got to be good. No, we love it. But it is interesting, isn't it? And he's stopped bankrolling Just Stop Oil, I think, hasn't he? Because he doesn't agree with all their tactics and so on and so forth. But he's entitled to whatever he wants to do as a Labour donor. He can give his money to them. What he can't do, however, is dictate what we eat. It doesn't make sense. And we love our Kobe beef, so
it's delicious.
We should have more. It should be subsidised. It's that good.
Yeah, we should subsidise Kobe meat for the masses. Anyway, the Phoenix Cinema in London has seen pro-Palestinian campaigners call for a boycott of the Seret Film Festival, I hope I pronounced that correctly, which is an Israeli film and TV festival, and a private showing of a film documenting the Hamas terror attack at the Nova Music Festival on October the 7th was being shown there. The graffitiing of the venue saw a pro-Israeli counter-protest after "No to art washing" was scrawled on the cinema. Now, is this censorship? I mean, Ken Loach and Mike Lee, the film directors, resigned as patrons of the cinema.
What martyrs?
I know. I know. Israel will probably stop now. Yeah. It's I see people making these grandiloquent gestures. Well, later on we're going to talk about Nish pulling out of a festival. I mean, to me, it sort of encourages me to go to that cinema.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, what is it? What's the thing here? They wanted to stop the film being shown because it actually exposes what they're supporting.
Yeah.
You know, the most brutal, rapacious, disgusting, tribal, murderous group.
Look at all those flags. Look at that. See, people have had enough.
Yeah, well, this
people
is...
Josh Howie was there.
Every week there's a protest, which people are allowed to have every week, but I didn't see the same protest for the 600,000 killed in Syria, the 250,000 in Yemen, 500,000 killed in Iraq by the UK and the USA.
Hundreds of thousands in Sudan.
There were two protests. Two protests, not a protest every week. OK? And now people are coming out, people who are pro-Israel, or people who are not even pro-Israel. They've just, like, had enough now of London being shut down every Saturday, the centre of London being shut down every Saturday.
Yeah. And Andrew, are you happy to see... I feel like communities are now standing up to intimidation. You can see the support for the Israeli community.
Look at the flags.
Yeah, I think they should stand up to intimidation. However, I do believe that sunlight is the best disinfectant, and you need to look at these things. I mean, and as Jonathan made the brilliant point, it's supporting that sort of stuff. You need to look at the context. We must never, ever, ever censor the arts. You've got to be able to entitle people to have it. It's freedom of speech, but not freedom from consequences.
But if Nish Kumar wants to censor himself, that is fine. That is absolutely...
Yeah, self-censorship, where you drop out of a festival because you disagree with one of the sponsors.
Well, it turned out it was a comedy festival, so that's why.
Right. Oh, you didn't read that in the small print?
Oh, yeah.
Ooh, shots fired. Shots fired.
Right. I actually don't know anything about him. I just know the punchline in... Darius said he used to bully him backstage, so I don't know.
Is that right?
I don't know if it's true.
Comedian we know. Well, yeah, I think it's great to see people coming out. Although instantly, leftists complained that the people coming out to counter-protest against the pro-Palestinian protest and against the anti-Israel protest were thugs and all the rest of it.
Maybe so.
Yeah,
doesn't matter. Thugs have a right to protest also.
This country was built on thuggery.
Well, Josh Howie was there with his nunchucks. He was just going, spinning them around. Tommy got wild. So,
and Josh Howie filmed that footage there. I think it's great to see this city finally rediscovering its cojones and taking its streets back. Anyway, next on the Saturday Night Showdown, the BBC have admitted to making rubbish comedy, and we'll get an exclusive look inside Tory Party HQ. Plus, I'll show you what happened when the skier hit the slopes.
Dreamed about this his whole life.
Welcome back to the Saturday Night Showdown. Hay Literature Festival has cut ties with a sponsor due to links with Israel. But first, I promised I would show you what happened when a skier took to the slopes.
Dreamed about this his whole life. Oh! Ooh. That is not good.
That was an unlucky... I mean, I shouldn't be laughing. The guy's probably, broken a toe. But... He's fine. He's fine. We did.
Is he all right?
We grew up when you've been framed. We can handle
absolutely.
this.
Well, this section, I always say, should be sponsored by personal injury lawyers, because every single week you show people which are...
You think we get any sponsors on this show? Oh, you sweet summer child.
There it is again. Oh, that's some bad timing. Actually, when I was skiing in Yugoslavia when I was 14.
Yes, as you do.
It was called Yugoslavia then, because that's how old I am. But it was the cheapest place in Europe to ski.
Yes.
So my dad took us there. And somebody was coming up, but it was cheap because, they didn't have the right safety standards and stuff. Somebody was coming off. They did have some snow, but a woman was coming off the chairlift, and her toggle and her jacket caught in the chair. The thing that the skier just hit, and so she got dragged all the way around the big wheel.
That's my fetish.
And then she was dragged along. She was dangling off the ground. She was up about like 15 feet, and then it broke, and she tumbled to the ground.
Never complain about health and safety again.
You've got the video.
No, we don't. That was before. That would have to be like Super 8.
That'd be brilliant.
That was in like 1989 or something.
Jeremy Beadle would have paid for that.
He paid for a lot of things.
We've got the Hay Literary Festival, which has dropped its main sponsor, investment management firm Baillie Gifford, after boycotts from speakers and performers over the firm's links to Israel and fossil fuel companies. The singer Charlotte Church and the comedian Nish Kumar were among the latest to pull out over Baillie Gifford's sponsorship of the festival. Now, I've just got to ask, what was Charlotte Church doing anywhere near a literary festival anyway?
Voice of an angel, it's become voice of Hamas.
Yeah, that's quite. That's
5 out of 10.
Yeah, no, that's great. That's great. That's going to be next week's show. But I mean...
Voice of an angel, body of a sack of potatoes. That was her.
Whoa!
Oh, this guy. Hey, that was the name of her album.
That's not right.
Yeah, she looks good.
She's a lovely
Yeah, for a girl.
body shaming and all that sort of stuff. It's outrageous.
Look, I'm a sassy gay guy. I can say what I want.
Is that right? Was it you on the horse?
Yeah, well,
ate the cake.
I've been on horse for some time.
I love the fact that they're meeting with fossil-free books. I didn't know there was such a thing.
Yeah.
Just to work out what they should be doing. I think they're going to be renaming the wind turbine in the Willows and gone with the wind power. A tale of two eco-cities. I love the idea.
Oh, let me have a think. Okay,
thank you. We're working hard all night.
Okay, let me go.
But he's put effort into this.
Come back to me. Come back to me.
Do my research.
Yeah.
It's coming in. But that's what they're doing. There's an organisation called Fossil-Free Books.
Yeah.
The FFB.
Greta expectations.
Oh, look at you, Greta expectations.
Yeah.
Oh, come on.
I didn't have any time to prep.
Oh, that's brilliant. That's brilliant.
But we keep seeing, companies getting almost in trouble for sponsoring a festival.
Yes.
So, they sponsor a festival, then all of a sudden they're in the paper, and you've got all these young people, these left-wing people, pointing at them and shouting, "Oh, they sponsor Israeli companies. They work with fossil fuels."
Yeah.
And it seems to just bring lots of hassle.
really-
Why don't these companies just sponsor right-wing events? Why don't they just sponsor me? Sponsor my YouTube channel?
Absolutely. But also you find that artists will put it in their contracts about that there's a limit, there's the blacklist of people who can't have, well, there used to be tobacco and alcohol and so on and so forth. And I do a lot of these sponsorship contracts, as you know, around the world, big artists.
Is there anything you don't do?
Modesty. And the reality, however, it'd be interesting to see what if the artists themselves could have dictated.
Yeah.
To give Charlotte Church, the lovely lady, give her the opportunity to stop money coming in is not good. In the economic difficult times that they got, the Hay needs this money.
That being
They
said,
don't have the money.
they are saving the money they're losing from sponsorships on Charlotte Church's rider. Apparently the food demands are so insane. That's just what I've heard.
Hey, listen,
I don't like.
listen.
That's what they feed to me in my ear. I'm just repeating why.
You're not wearing an earpiece. But Kezia, they keep advertising to socialists. I should imagine the people that go to the Hay Festival probably are not the richest people. Why don't they advertise to rich people? Why don't they advertise to right-wing people? Right-wing people buy a new Audi every year.
Left-wing's trendy. Left-wing's trendy. It's, that's...
It is trendy. Well, something that's not so trendy, the BBC has warned that sitcoms are dying out, as executives say that its current comedies are not funny enough. Bosses say that the broadcaster has oversupplied new comedy dramas which touch on worthy subjects but are lacking in jokes. The BBC has announced that the classic sitcom needs to be saved, as programmes in the style of Only Fools and Horses are what the audience wants to see. Well, I mean, I could have told you that. I'd still watch Only Fools and Horses.
And it makes lots of money around the world.
I've got a strong opinion, but so the best thing the BBC ever came out with, there's two: Red Dwarf.
Yeah, that's a sitcom.
And Blackadder. Yes.
Sitcoms.
Yes, but humour does evolve. If you look at humour from the 1960s, it's terrible.
Yeah.
It's
not great.
awful.
It's not great.
And
But
I
the
think it does
90s.
evolve. So if you look, so with exception to Richard Pryor, it's like the only stand-up comedian that I think is still funny to this day. If you look at his old material, if you look at old material from people around that time, it's bad.
What about
It was
Carlin?
funny at the time. Who?
George Carlin?
Oh, yeah, he was funny, but not as funny.
Oh, he's just a big lecture.
He was very smart. He was very
George Carlin,
intelligent.
the smart thing he said is that in comedy you need to know where the line is and go above it.
Yeah.
That's what he always said.
He
He
was
was
brilliant, but
like
he
that.
was not as funny.
But we punch way above our weight on the comedy thing. The great people like Ray Galton and Alan Simpson, who wrote Steptoe and Sons and Hancock's Half Hour. Look at that sort of stuff. We've got John Sullivan, who did Only Fools and Horses.
Yeah.
Brilliant stuff. It will stand
Is
the
it
test of
brilliant
time.
now, though? Is it?
Oh, no, but it is.
Blackadder is.
I'll tell you why. 'Cause
Not Only Fools and Horses, I don't
Only Fools and
think.
Horses
Just
on
about.
the stage now, doing word for word, roughly,
Yeah.
apart from certain bits, word for word, and they are slaying
They
audiences
were
every
good.
night.
OK, what about Keeping Up Appearances? That was terrible.
I love Thy Neighbour and terrible things like that.
There was some real bad
issues.
ones.
I'd say
that were
40
funny at the
Towers
time.
holds up.
40 Towers. 40 Towers holds
I
up.
hate 40 Towers.
interesting.
Ronald
It's not
Chesney
funny.
I think
and
it holds up.
Red Wolf, I think, the two Ronalds. Do you remember them? Ronald Chesney
Not
and Ronald
funny.
Wolf?
It's
No,
not funny. Red Dwarf was better than that.
Red Wolf was very good, but Blackadder and Ben Elton and all that sort of stuff.
and they were actually...
There's still some good comedy being made. Like Fleabag. Fleabag is only a few years old.
Nah,
It's
it's
hilarious.
Nah.
No, it's good. It's honestly, and I'm saying that as a
It
man.
is brilliant. It is brilliant.
Did you watch
It was enjoyable. It wasn't funny.
I watched season 1. It wasn't funny, exactly. It was good drama.
Yeah.
Phoebe Waller-Bridge
face as well.
She's brilliant. She's
Absolutely
brilliant.
brilliant.
Hideous.
And we have the greatest creative minds. I mean, they're on this table at the moment. Some of the greatest creative minds in the world. That's what we should celebrate.
Yeah. I mean,
I think she made Indiana Jones. I think that was the best Indiana Jones film we've ever seen.
It was true. There you go.
I thought it wasn't this bad.
It was amazing.
As people said. But do you think the BBC are going to be able to get
You
back
saw
to
her lanking all over the place trying to run after Indy. Oh, a few people... Oh, God,
They did that with
I'm full of
CGI.
vitriol today.
Yeah, at least you didn't
Puppets.
comment. You didn't call her a sack of potatoes this time. But the...
God, she wishes. Sorry,
do you think the BBC will be able to get back to making sitcoms? Because they're really expensive to make. It's much easier to just get people to sit at a
They're
table
making,
and talk
like,
once.
OK, just for example, Shane Gillis got a new sitcom out on Netflix. It's doing super well. It's very simple, set in one location, nice writing, funny, just good humour. They could have easily do that, but it looks completely inexpensive.
Motherland was good.
Motherland. I didn't like
That
Motherland.
was hilarious. That was so funny.
Actually,
As a
no,
mom,
I thought it was
watched
gonna-
it and said, I resonate with this, but it was very funny.
I thought it was going to be a satire of, the Third Reich, but it wasn't.
So the real problem is
They
this,
should
is
do
that
one. Oh, I know,
financing
I know.
these programmes are so expensive now, and the question, talking about financing of the BBC,
Yeah.
is it's made by so many other people now with Netflix and Amazon and various other things. Should the BBC be spending its money on that? And that's the thing about the licence fee. The answer will probably be no, sadly, and that's what's going to happen on that sort of basis.
Yeah, so I
Who
guess
did
people
Extras? Extras was good.
Extras was brilliant.
BBC?
Oh, The Office was amazing.
It's a brilliant
no,
writer.
Extras was way better than The Office.
Oh, I'm not sure. I liked it.
It's
Well,
not
maybe-
a debate.
Moving on to a different type of entertainment, a London theatre has suffered a backlash after seeking a chief executive from, and listen to this, the criminal class and or underclass. In a job advert, the theatre, a charity, says in its advert that it encourages applications from individuals without formal education or who identify as working class, benefit class, criminal class or underclass. Now, they seem to be lumping in criminal class with working class, as if it's like comparable, as if, working class people also do a bit of burglary on the weekend.
It's a Charles Booth 19th century poverty map is what it is. You work on that sort of basis, but it sort of plays with the Craigs is what you could have. Work on that sort of principles. They're trying to encourage, again, diversity, because they reckon that people who understand the criminal class will be better at sort of relating to various other people.
But will
And
they be
it's a-
better at running a theatre?
well, then probably get some more money in. You could borrow it from other people.
No, drug
you
dealers
work
are
on the
crafty.
principle that they may be. You need to, the theatre is supposed to reflect all aspects of life, and actually, some of the most creative people there are criminals.
Yeah. Well,
They are.
creative.
Well, they might be doing a producers and just try and ruin the theatre for insurance.
There you go.
Yeah.
Got to give people a second chance.
Or maybe this is an elaborate police sting operation. They ask for criminals, then the criminals turn up, and the police are like, well, here
great
you
one.
are. You take this. So it's Camden's People Theatre, which received £250,000 of
Hamza Yusuf.
funding from the Arts Council during COVID. I mean, that's the criminal thing to me. All
That's
that
not much-
taxpayers'
that's
money
not
that went
much
out.
money, that's not much
people
money.
say that. People always say that about the Arts Council. It's not so much money. It's a lot of money.
No,
That's
it
a
is a
quarter
lot
of
of
£1 million.
money.
And it's not just that theatre. So much public money was just splurged out. And I'll tell you what's bad about public funding in the arts. People think, the government is giving me this money. That's not generosity. That means the government then owns you.
They're in their pocket.
You're in their pocket. You can't criticise. It's like in Scotland, the SNP own the Stand comedy clubs, so then comedians can't really criticise the Stand without possibly jeopardising their comedy.
You make a really good point. And what I also love is, I thank you, I always do. But what I also love is in the small print of the article, they say candidates who self-identify as disabled would automatically get an interview. So it's self-identification. So you don't necessarily have to be objectively disabled.
Right.
You just say, well, I'm disabled. And you automatically get an interview. Now, that's got to be wrong,
That's a
doesn't it?
loophole.
That is a loophole. A
They
loophole.
want just people, able-bodied people, to come through who are not a criminal, who identify as a criminal.
Yes.
So they've ticked the boxes, but they found the loophole.
So they'll still get that funding stream from Arts Council or whatever that just goes to disabled candidates. And
Our money going to rubbish, as usual.
I would actually technically be able to apply for this because I was in prison for 18 months, but I would never want to put myself forward as
why were you in prison?
I was in a very...
Was it to do with the horse?
Yeah. No, that was a mess because I wasn't so much from prison as a sort of holiday camp. But no, this was more... Yeah, I got into basically a big
Stolen the
brawl.
attention, hasn't he, just now?
He's
It's got really
lying.
quiet.
Yeah.
I think he's lying. I thought it was going to be an
Very good. I
interesting
like
anecdote.
that.
He's
Stole
lying.
the attention.
Next on the Saturday Night Showdown, there's a new $4,000 therapy that people just can't get enough of. Plus, I'll show you what happened when this paramedic tried to get a patient onto a stretcher.
Here we go.
Welcome back to the Saturday Night Showdown. There's a scary admission from Keir Starmer coming up and a new type of therapy that costs $4,000. But first, I promised I would show you what happened when this paramedic tried to help someone in need. if you're on the radio, the paramedic fell over and sat on the person. And I mean, they're obviously there it is again. That is oh my God, that. Dangerous and arousing somehow, and also we've got an update on what a zebra is. So a zebra is, in fact.
So I claim my prize. It was to do with disguise, as I say. And
I'm not talking about the stripes. I'm talking about what it actually is.
So it's basically...
Google's told me.
52 million years ago, it came from a fox-like animal, as I said,
right.
Which thrived in the jungle environment, feeding on fruit and leaves. There you go.
Right. Well, what you might not know is that a zebra and a horse can have sex and produce offspring, and the offspring are called a zorse.
Exactly.
But it's sterile.
And when they get married, they have a divorce or whatever. There's something there somewhere. I'll work on it.
Jonathan, he's really good. Anyway, let's now take a quick look inside the Tory Party HQ.
What's this?
That was not the Tory Party HQ, that was a little joke. That was in fact this therapy. This is rage therapy, and it's all the rage. See what I did there?
Yes.
You like that?
Oh, very good.
In America right now, people, well, let's be honest, women, are paying up to $4,000 for sessions where they can, well, let's have another look.
That's up to one of your comedies, actually.
It goes on forever.
And Kezia, you filmed that when you were on that retreat.
Yeah. No, this is interesting because there's nothing more frightening than an out-of-control, hysterical woman.
Oh, tell me about it.
And that looked like a clip of a horror film.
Yeah,
I felt like this is scary, what I'm looking at here.
Yeah.
But, no, good for them.
Do you think women are bottling it up and then releasing it? Do you think that's healthy?
Because they're people pleasers, women. You know, they just they constantly, women are like living through filters. You know, like they water down their personality, they water down their opinions. Not all women, but the majority of women, because they just want to come across as nice, because that's what men want.
Hell hath no fury than a woman scorned. That's what Shakespeare said.
Thank you.
Yeah.
But, you know, it's got to come out somewhere.
So are you tempted to go on this rage retreat and spend $4,000 whacking some sticks?
I'd do that in the street in front of people.
I reckon if you sold pinatas around there, you'd make a killing.
Hey, that's a good one, absolutely. Back to the horses. We love it. That's good.
Well, Emily Maitlis interviewed Keir Starmer on the news agents recently. Let's see what he had to say.
Ooh.
Just ask you quickly, you have to choose now between Davos or Westminster.
Davos.
Why?
Because Westminster is too constrained.
So Davos is the World Economic Forum where all the bigwigs from around the world meet up far away from voters to discuss how they're going to run the world without any input from voters. It's overseen by Klaus Schwab, who speaks like a Bond baddie and says things that sound like a Bond baddie. Eat the bugs, or you will own nothing and be happy. I mean, he didn't say that, but it was a big quote from Davos. So who's Keir working for? He seems to love Davos a bit too much.
I thought they were talking about, what is it, the Doctor Who, isn't it? He's like the leader of the Daleks, wasn't he? But what a bizarre thing to do. We're going to get so many sound bites, which are going to be faux pas in the next thing. And what I love about my pet subject about AI, artificial intelligence, and as you know, I don't want fake or facts on a regular basis, where we find these things which can be manipulated. So it's going to be manipulated images, they're going to be manipulated voice recordings, manipulated images and videos. Some of them are not manipulated. So Keir really messed up on that one. What on earth he was thinking?
Yeah.
To turn around and say,
this isn't a gaffe. This isn't him. You know, this is what he genuinely thinks. He genuinely thinks that Davos is a better place. He finds it easier to work there and get things done than at Westminster.
Are you surprised by this?
Well, I know Westminster is a sort of shouting shop where it's got this sort of schoolyard, both sides, yelling each other down.
Davos can do one, honestly.
Davos can do one. That's the T-shirt. I want that one.
Yeah, I don't like them all, meeting up, far away. Anyway, Mel Stride MP has blamed pornography and video games for a surge in worklessness among young men. This is your first gig in a while, isn't it, Jonathan?
It has. I am deeply down a porn hole. No, it's not true. Not true at all. Not true. I've got family watching this. What am I thinking? No, what do I think? I think pornography is a relationship and sex simulator, and I think video games are an achievement simulator. So you're getting your dopamine fix that you would be getting elsewhere from these sort of very consumable places. And yeah, I think it's a big trap for a lot of young men because you can just feel good for 2 hours and play this or watch this.
And that's a great point. And also it's become, I think, the risk and reward of young men going out and meeting women has become much more difficult. If you go and chat up a woman in a bar, you can be accused of harassment or whatever.
Yes.
So, I mean, I know this is your sort of area of expertise as a dating coach. Do you see this in young men? Are they sort of giving up on the dating scene?
We have so many men that come to us and they've like had not even porn addictions, I wouldn't call it, but they've sort of just relied on that and, you know, playing video games and just not being very active, not being proactive. I think dating apps are another one of the big problems. It just gives this sense.
It makes it worse.
It just gives a sense of like you're doing something. Oh, I swiped. You know, I did something. I was proactive.
Yeah, but then you go on a date with them, right?
No, but a lot of them don't. They just go back and forth, messaging back and forth. The people I know who are doing really well right now are the people not on dating apps.
So the people going out.
Because what happens when you don't have a dating app or something or pornography to fall back on, it motivates you to go and talk to people because you've got no safety net. That's it.
Yeah.
So
and there's been a massive rise, hasn't there? There's been a massive rise in AI girlfriends. Oh, and it's a multi-zillion-dollar business.
So it's almost like emotional pornography.
And it totally is. So artificial intelligence, what it does, it knows more about you than your mother or your because what it remembers information.
Yeah.
And it knows your sort of fantasies. It knows what's really going to turn you on and things, and it will repeat it. And you might remember about the person who climbed a Chael, his name was, who climbed into the Queen's bedroom with a crossbow. He was inspired by his AI friend.
Sadness and loneliness, all this. A lot of men out
not
there.
a cheery note to end on. Anyway, up next is Mark Dolan tonight. What have you got for us this evening, Mark?
Well, Leo, are the people that work from home work-shy grifters? Also, it's been quite the journey for Camilla from homewrecker to queen. We'll be discussing the jewel in the royal crown, plus my top pundits and tomorrow's papers. A busy show. We're live at 9.
I'd love to work from home doing this show. I could just sit in my sofa in my underpants and do it. Anyway, thanks to my brilliant panel tonight, who are probably glad I'm wearing trousers. It's Kezia Noble, Andrew Eborn and Jonathan Cogan. Hope we see you all again next week. And don't forget headliners as well. Tonight at 11 p.m, 3 comedians going through tomorrow's news. Goodbye.
Bye.
Looks like things are heating up. Boxed boilers, sponsors of weather on GB News.